I'm marrying your best friend, no legal paperwork, so no division of assets.
That's right. I got your high-earning banker husband.
In front of me, my husband and my best friend were laughing triumphantly. Not only was I shocked that my husband was cheating, but the fact that it was with my best friend was also devastating. When he proposed, it was merely a transition, or perhaps I was just being considered as a maid. I sighed deeply and looked at them with pity. To them, I'm just a pathetic woman, easily discarded like a rag.
Huh, you didn't know.
What are you talking about?
I won't use endearments like steer anymore. I decided to reveal the truth to them, intoxicated with their own delight. I'll teach them that mocking people brings major repercussions. I am Mary White, 39 years old. 10 years ago, I met my banker husband, Tyler White, through dating activities, and we got married. I was worried that I looked too plain and might not be Tyler's type. But Tyler reassured me with kind words.
I want to choose a spouse based on their inner qualities. Marry me.
Moved by his words, I decided to marry Tyler. However, our married life did not go smoothly. Most of all, my mother-in-law did not take a liking to me.
What an unremarkable girl.
She sighed the first time we met. But Tyler defended me, saying, "Don't talk like that about the person I chose to marry." So, I decided to try my best to win over my mother-in-law. Just before my husband and I started dating, his father had passed away.
The father's gone, and she swooped in when we were vulnerable.
Otherwise, he could have found a better girl, grumbled my mother-in-law. Anyway, she didn't seem to like my plain appearance and would always make snide remarks. Watching TV, she'd say, "Such a pretty girl. If only the father were here." That girl too, sigh, Tyler is too kind, he was deceived, in a roundabout way of expressing her disdain. Still, I pretended not to hear and let it slide. Tyler had always been attentive and kind to me, so our marriage lasted for 10 years. One day, while shopping at an outlet mall with Tyler, someone tapped me on the shoulder from behind.
Hey, Mary, right? Long time no see.
Kathy.
The woman waving in front of me was Kathy, my best friend from middle school. Kathy was always full of energy and pretty, we used to hang out a lot. However, her family had moved away due to a job transfer, and I hadn't seen her since then. Feeling nostalgic, we decided to catch up over coffee at a nearby cafe. Surprisingly, Kathy still looked incredibly beautiful, hardly near 40. She was working as an office lady. But she seemed to be having a hard time finding someone to marry.
Marriage really is all about compatibility, isn't it? I just haven't met the right person, she said, smiling.
Tyler was staring at Kathy as if he couldn't look away.
Kathy, is it? I had no idea Mary had such a beautiful friend, he said.
Thank you. What does your husband do?
He's a banker.
As soon as Kathy heard the word banker, it seemed like her eyes sparkled.
Then he must have a high income. Mary, you snagged yourself a great husband. I want to get closer to you guys.
Of course. Would you like to come over 40 sometime?
Absolutely, I'd love to come over.
The conversation seemed to move on without me, but I guess Tyler was trying to get along with my best friend. When they came over for tea, Tyler and Kathy discovered they liked the same video games. Tyler was thrilled and invited Kathy to play, and the two of them gamed together. From that day on, Kathy started coming over often. She'd stay for hours under the guise of playing games. Moreover, both Tyler and Kathy started to exclude me. When I was in the same room, they'd ask me to buy snacks or clean the bathroom, clearly trying to push me away.
Tyler, you're so good at this game.
Haha, I'm honored to be praised by you, Kathy.
Kathy seemed to be getting closer to Tyler, and he was clearly enjoying the attention. My mother-in-law really liked the beautiful Kathy.
Oh my, such a beautiful girl, unlike my own daughter-in-law.
Saying this, she welcomed Kathy, and her treatment of me became harsher. Since reuniting with Kathy, I felt increasingly alienated.
Hey, don't you think you're too close to Kathy?
It's not like that. Just because you're plain doesn't mean you have to make boring, jealous comments.
Even when I voiced concerns, Tyler wouldn't listen. They even exchanged personal contact details, and Kathy started emailing me.
If you're too controlling, you'll end up a disliked. Why?
The more fun they seemed to have together, the more exhausted I became. Tyler's behavior became increasingly strange. Recently, influenced by Kathy, he bought a multiplayer online game and has been playing it every night after work. It wouldn't bother me. But I hate how he curses whenever he gets defeated in the game. Damn kids disrespecting adults. Beginners shouldn't drag me down. Damn it. I know he's not talking about me, but just hearing these negative words are subtly stressful. He hasn't taken his frustration out on objects or lashed out at me, which I suppose could be worse. Whenever Tyler starts his ranting, I escape to the next room and listen to music with headphones on. It's a simple solution, but it gets tiring day after day. Why does Tyler play such frustrating games for hours every day? However, he seems to be in a good mood when Kathy logs into the game and plays with him. I should be fine with my best friend getting along with my husband, but inside, I feel uneasy. Additionally, a younger colleague at the bank getting a major contract and receiving praise seemed to be fueling Tyler's irritation. When I'm forced to listen to his banking complaints, I just nod and say, "Yeah, that sounds tough." I'm not well versed in banking, but any attempt to give advice would just anger him.
Don't talk like you know everything.
But he doesn't extend the same courtesy to me. If I consult him about a mistake, he snorts and says disdainfully, "Everyone's so clueless." It's clear he has no intention of offering me any comforting words. Feeling this, I once remained silent, focusing on Tyler, which made him uncomfortable, and he went off to the bedroom. From then on, our relationship began to deteriorate. Moreover, Tyler started to criticize my cooking as well.
More stew dishes and spinach again. I don't want to eat this country-style cooking.
Don't say that, you're already not getting enough vegetables as it is.
I'm tired of eating like an old lady. I'm going out to eat.
As the distance between us grew, Tyler's frequency of communication with Kathy seemed to increase in proportion. He often went out for tea with Kathy, which I found unpleasant.
Hey, are you going to meet Kathy again? You're married, you should think about that.
What, are you just having some nasty fantasies?
Trying to keep Tyler home only worsened his mood.
It's just gaming advice. It's all good.
Kathy said this trying to reassure me, but it only increased the unease in my heart. Tyler remained arrogant despite my worries. What a surprise, he started swearing audibly to people. Once, we went to a diner for a limited-time steak special, and a father with 2 kids sat next to us. The children were really cute and friendly, greeting everyone, creating a warm atmosphere in the place. I was placing an order with the waiter. But Tyler was listening to the family next to us and started talking to me in a somewhat mocking tone.
He looks like he's single. Probably doesn't make much money, huh?
Hey, why would you say something like that out of the blue?
Maybe his wife left him. He's still wearing a ring on his ring finger. Probably still has feelings for her.
There was a mean-spiritedness apparent on Tyler's face. Was he always this kind of person?
Everyone has their circumstances. You shouldn't say things like that without thinking.
I whispered an admonition, which seemed to irritate him. Next, Tyler spoke to the children.
Is your mom not around? That's sad.
The father responded with a wry smile.
She passed away last year due to illness. Sorry to bring up such a gloomy topic.
Of course. What? She didn't leave you? That's boring. Misfortune might be contagious. Let's get out of this place.
Normally, you'd expect someone to apologize for making others talk about such things. I felt so embarrassed, my face was burning. How could he say something like that? The waitress overheard our conversation, and I couldn't stand to stay there any longer. After apologizing to the family, I left the diner as Tyler wished. Fortunately, since we had just ordered, the food hadn't been made yet, and I was able to cancel it. When we got home, I confronted Tyler.
Why would you say such a thing? Didn't you think that was rude?
What? It's the truth. Besides, are you having an affair with that poor dad or what?
I was shocked by Tyler's outrageous accusation. He wasn't like this before. I was starting to lose sight of a future living with Tyler. Troubles continued as my mother-in-law slipped on the embankment during her walk and fractured her leg. The surgery was successful, but she had to undergo rehabilitation at home. I automatically became the one to take care of her, but she remained imperious even to me.
Hurry up with the meal, you're such a slow daughter-in-law.
Mother-in-law, walking to the living room could also be good rehab for you.
Oh my, are you trying to make a frail old woman walk? What a cruel daughter-in-law you are.
My mother-in-law refuses to move and constantly tells Tyler things, which leads to me getting scolded by him when he comes home.
Hey, Mom can't move right now. Don't you have any compassion? It's sad.
But the doctor said if she doesn't move, her legs will stiffen up.
I don't need excuses. Just remember, if anything happens to Mom, I won't forgive you.
And yet, Tyler, her son, does nothing himself. Honestly, taking care of my mother-in-law alone is a huge burden. Tyler says my tired look is depressing and uses work as an excuse to stay away from home. Even talking to Kathy, she says, "You really must take good care of Tyler's mom." My mind is in turmoil. I can't confront Tyler easily, and I don't want to be wrongly suspected, so I just put the marriage license back where it was. While I was trying to understand Tyler's intentions, I overheard him on a speakerphone call with his mother.
So, how are things going with that girl?
Yeah, it won't be long before I drive that wife away.
Right, you're so smart.
And to think she hasn't noticed we didn't file the marriage license. What a slow wife. Luckily, it means she won't get any of our family's valuable assets. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I married Tyler because I loved him, but he never intended to stay committed from the start.
Using caring for Mom as an excuse, you look a mess with unkempt hair full of gray, glasses, and no makeup.
Frankly, your appearance has gotten even worse. You're not fit to be my wife. Hearing those words from Tyler chilled me to the bone. The voice coming from the speaker was too cold. This also solved the mystery of the marriage certificate in the safe. At this rate, I'd be left in tatters and kicked out. Thinking this, I bought a used computer and started to develop skills to become independent. While caring for my mother-in-law, I spent most of my time at home working on the computer. I bought programming books at the bookstore and dived into practice. Soon, my table was covered with books on programming languages like Java and C++. Perhaps because I had an affinity for development languages, I even started developing apps. As I learned techniques for promoting on social media, I released several hit casual games and began earning revenue. I also made videos on how to play the games at the right times, which generated ad revenue. Thanks to this, I started receiving programming requests from companies. As my income exceeded the limits of a sole proprietorship, I established a company under my name and began managing the money through it. Releasing an app doesn't mean the work ends, maintenance and frequent updates are necessary. And it seems my diligence in handling these tasks is well received. Despite being bossed around by my mother-in-law, I had goals which kept me going. I managed my savings through an online bank, so I didn't have to visit Tyler's bank often. I asked the bank not to inform Tyler, so he was unaware of the money I was making. This made me feel prepared to leave this house at any time. 6 months later, Tyler confronted me about not submitting our marriage certificate. At this point, Tyler became flustered.
What? I didn't know about this.
I didn't tell you.
But after how you've treated me, I can't consider your feelings. Maybe I should withdraw all the money I deposited at the bank.
Wait, if you do that, I'll get in trouble.
Tyler tried to appeal to me, but my heart was no longer with him.
So, you were hiding that you made so much money and deceived me. I'll sue you.
You're so unfair having all that money. I was practically taking care of your husband. I deserve compensation.
Their sense of reason seemed to have flown out the window, displaying incredibly shameless behavior.
That's a harsh joke.
Besides, Tyler, you and I were strangers to begin with. Even if it was a common law marriage, your actions are all written in my diary and I recorded this conversation on my phone. You can't touch my assets. I left the house with my bags already packed, ignoring the ranting from Tyler and Kathy. After that, my phone was bombarded with calls from them. From Tyler, a cloying voice mixed in.
Hey, you worked hard to prove yourself to me, right? That money. Couldn't we manage it more effectively together?
From my supposed best friend, a condescending tone.
Hey, you've always been so unremarkable, but you've been working hard.
I'll take $1 million as a gift, right? There's this designer bag I really want. And from my mother-in-law, pressing me relentlessly.
What is this? I had no idea you were earning money. Pay me 10 million yen as compensation for lying.
Listening to them was utterly draining.
Please do your own housework from now on.
I won't be helping you. According to you, I'm just a woman who manipulates men by exploiting their weaknesses, so it's better if we cut ties.
What? How dare you, you saucy daughter-in-law.
I'm not your daughter-in-law anymore.
And I'll also stop contributing to the household expenses. Tyler hates giving money, but you'll just have to manage however you can. Good luck. During the time I cared for my mother-in-law, there were many expenses, but Tyler rarely contributed. Without me, their standard of living will probably drop significantly. I wonder if my mother-in-law can handle that. Another thing, my mother-in-law isn't fully healed. Tyler never came to the hospital appointments. So he wouldn't know, but her muscles have weakened significantly, and she could become bedridden if she doesn't move enough. I managed to get her to walk through encouragement and persistence, despite her naturally lazy nature. Tyler would probably find it too bothersome, and Kathy certainly won't help.
Your mom, it's best to keep her walking as much as possible. I won't be responsible if she can't walk.
Huh, is that a fret? Thanks to you, Mom's been doing great.
This is how I was mocked during the divorce. Tyler probably thought it was just my sour grapes. I had given my warning, so it was no longer my concern. Later on, Tyler got involved in investing and apparently failed. I knew because he told me he needed a margin call of $7,000 by 3 p.m. today, and it was serious if he couldn't make it. After I firmly refused, he kept sending persistent messages and calls.
Come on, you must have the money, right? Help me out.
That's what happens when you venture into investments without proper knowledge. My money isn't there to cover your blunders.
If you can make $1 million, there's no way I can't make it too.
How low did he think of me? I didn't want to mentally exhaust myself for Tyler any longer. I firmly rejected Tyler's demands.
Then at least lend me some money. I'll do it right this time.
No, there's no guarantee I'd get it back. And I don't want anything more to do with you.
Don't mess with me, you bitch. Who do you think you are, acting all high and mighty?
I was appalled by his shouting and cut him off mid-call. I had started recording partway through and later consulted the police.
It's not uncommon for financially distressed ex-spouses to persistently involve themselves. We'll increase patrols just in case.
They assured me, which provided some relief. By the way, if a margin call in stocks isn't met, it results in a forced liquidation. If the liquidation results in a deficit, it becomes a debt. Sometimes it's better to let it go to forced liquidation rather than adding more margin calls, as putting in more money can increase the debt if the trading value continues to drop. If the value is expected to rebound, it's better to meet the margin call, but Tyler likely doesn't understand this balance. A shortage in forced liquidation could also turn into debt, and sometimes it might not. Given his panic, I suspect Tyler might have been using money that shouldn't have been touched, like for living expenses. I also invest in stocks, so I have some knowledge. Stocks don't necessarily lead to huge losses unless you trade in risky ways. However, trying to make a quick fortune can turn into gambling. Tyler is neither patient nor a forward thinker. If I had been around, I would have opposed and stopped him, but now it's none of my business. A week later, considering cost reductions, I was thinking about buying a new car. But when I logged into my online bank, it seemed like there was less money than there should be. Feeling that something was clearly wrong, I went to the bank. After updating my bank book at the counter, the staff hurriedly retreated to the back. And the branch manager came out looking flustered.
Ms. Smith, I sincerely apologize, but upon verifying the facts,
the branch manager said, wiping sweat from his brow. It turns out Tyler had illegally accessed my online banking account and transferred my assets from my account to his. Tyler, having access to the account information, must have been trying to cover his investment losses by secretly taking the money. As a bank teller, he should have known that such actions would not go unpunished. The branch manager called Tyler in, but he was sulking.
just because that money is mine as the husband, right? The real issue is that you hid it from me, so I just confiscated it.
Got a problem.
You and I were never married.
Bringing up convenient arguments now, we're complete strangers. This is a crime of embezzlement of a client's funds.
What are you saying, you insolent woman, branch manager? Don't listen to her. It was just alimony from the divorce.
Then, the branch manager's angry voice echoed in the reception room.
What on earth are you talking about? Don't you think this is outrageous?
What, did I really do something so bad?
With Tyler's embezzlement and his utterly disrespectful remarks towards me, a client, the branch manager scolded him. It became apparent that this could not be hidden. So they decided to call the police.
What, the police? Why, I've worked so hard for this bank.
You can think this would just go away after what you did?
There were heated arguments in the reception room, and eventually, Tyler was taken away by the police. Tyler's assets couldn't cover it all, so the bank agreed to pay part of the repayment. The incident even made the local news, and Tyler was fired. Tyler had gained trust as a banker in the neighborhood, but all that was ruined, and he couldn't live at home anymore. Now penniless, he moved to a cheap apartment while job hunting. However, since his real name was published in the newspaper, companies that found the article refused to hire him.
If you had just kept quiet, by now I could have been rich, Tyler lamented. My career is ruined. I didn't even get a severance payment.
I blocked his calls, so I keep getting endless resentful emails, which I ignore. Kathy also keeps contacting persistently.
You're just making petty trouble. Thanks to you, I'm no longer a banker's wife. You think it's funny we have no money?
It seems the word self-inflicted isn't in their vocabulary. Because of the branch manager's sincere apology, I decided to continue keeping my money with the bank. The problem was Tyler, not the bank. I decided to forget about Tyler and his issues for a while and focus on my work. Having started investing my earnings, it turned out well, and now it's grown to about $5 million. My work has become too much to handle alone, so I'm now recruiting staff online. Graduate students and skilled engineers started to join my team. Among them was a familiar face, a single father I knew. He was the one Tyler had mocked at the family restaurant. He had started his engineering career so he could work from home and take care of his children.
I'm still not able to replace their mother, but I don't want my children to feel deprived, he said.
I apologized for Tyler's past rudeness. He forgave me, mentioning that those harsh words had spurred him to strive harder, though at the time, I had been mortified. While busy running my company, I unexpectedly ran into Tyler. He looked so different that I didn't recognize him at first. When he saw me, his demeanor changed, and he suddenly knelt before me in the middle of the street.
Mary, is that you? Mary, please, hear me out.
What? Stop.
Considering the public setting, I agreed to listen to him inside a cafe near a police station. Although it turned out he was just looking for money and possibly reconciliation. It seems Tyler's new job isn't going well either. Tyler, who had become addicted to an online game, couldn't break free from its dependency, and this led to his habit of using harsh language even in the real world. Despite my warnings, it seems he couldn't stop, and it became a habit. Moreover, his daily meals are disastrous. Kathy, who is fixated on a natural and high-quality authentic foods, actually only uses olive oil and cheese in her cooking, leading to greasy meals. What she had been serving were just attractively arranged supermarket deli items. As a result, Tyler became obese and developed acne, given that greasy food worsens acne. I had been refining my Japanese cooking skills because I knew fatty meals could be harmful, especially for elderly people like his mother. And even young people would head straight for lifestyle diseases if they ate such meals daily. Tyler ended up in poor health. Kathy, despite her extravagant spending and constant dining out, found it hard to save money. Olive oil, her staple, isn't cheap either. In her attempts to improvise, she started using vegetable and sesame oil, adding vinegar for health, which only led to bizarre taste changes. Kathy, who had hoped to enjoy a glamorous lifestyle, ended up in disarray. She grew significantly overweight and disillusioned with her middle-aged husband. Had an affair, but even that backfired when the other man's wife found out and demanded alimony. The alimony payments and other expenses led Tyler's in-laws to incur debt.
If you weren't around, I could be enjoying a pleasant retirement right now.
If only that daughter-in-law were here, we'd be millionaires. Kathy constantly received sarcastic comments from her mother-in-law, and her marital relationship was at its worst. Kathy's former beauty was nowhere to be seen. Despite being able to move with some effort in rehabilitation, her mother-in-law preferred to skip it, becoming increasingly immobile and dependent. Did she really think, after being so spiteful, that I would financially support her?
I can even cook.
And just looking at Kathy's cooking makes my stomach turn. My mother can't move. I have no money, and it feels like I'm being torn apart. Help me. I do feel sorry for him, but I won't forget being called tasteless. By the way, I heard that the layer of oil on Kathy's soup pasta exceeds 3 millimeters, so the fat content is pretty severe.
No, I am not a caregiver, a maid, or an ATM.
Then hire me in your company and make me an executive.
How shameless can you be?
I rejected Tyler's pleas. Who would want to return to such hell? With a look of despair, Tyler said, I admit I cheated, but it was just once, and if you round it down, that makes 0. So, my cheating count is 0. Let's start over as a couple. I'll leave her for you, but given his history of faking marriage certificate submissions, his words just don't hold up. I ignored Tyler and left the restaurant. Then, Tyler started shaking and seemed to have a convulsion. If I still had feelings for him, I might have panicked and freed him or called an ambulance. But upon closer observation with a clear head, while he gasped, I can't breathe, he kept glancing over at me. I was so appalled I was speechless. When I walked outside, he hurriedly followed, but retreated when I entered a police station. I had recorded our conversation just in case and sent it to Kathy.
He asked to start over as a couple, but we were never married to begin with, and your husband keeps contacting me persistently.
What, is he betraying me?
Despite her own infidelities, Kathy's reaction was bizarre. It seems like Kathy and Tyler's relationship, though newlywed, deteriorated quickly. I hired a new security guard and deleted Tyler and Kathy's contacts. Thanks to stocks and investments, my company is thriving without financial difficulties. The single father is also managing to cover his children's tuition and living expenses with his salary from the company. Busy with work, my life is honestly much more fulfilling now than when I was with Tyler.
Boss, I'd like you to look at this program.
Understood, I'll be right there.
I put away my programming reference book, worn out from too much studying, and headed towards my subordinate's desk.